years ago, in the wake of 9/11, three women took a leap of faith and began meeting to write a children's book designed to bridge the gap between their different religions. But what they found was the answer to an even greater prayer. Rania Ittleby, a Muslim, Suzanne Oliver, a Christian, and Priscilla Warner, a Jew. This is the Faith Club.
They have this whole WWJD group, What Would Jesus Do?
What happens when three mothers agree to discuss matters of faith, God, and religion? This trinity was eager to journey toward answers. The first rule, honesty. Over tea and sandwiches, they debated jihad to Jesus, heaven to holy text, opening minds and hearts to other ways of thinking and believing.
In order to connect with something greater, you have to empty out yourself. And you can't empty out yourself unless you are. Get rid of selfishness, right?
That's what it is. It's that the beauty of living a life that's examined.
The book is called The Faith Club, a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew. Three women search for understanding. Rania Ittleby, Suzanne Oliver, and Priscilla Warner, good morning to all of you. Rania, I know this was your idea originally after 9/11. You felt a need to write a children's book. You have two children of your own.
Absolutely. I felt a deep sense of isolation and alienation from the dominant voice of Islam after 9/11. And when my daughter comes home and asks me, do we celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas, I feel that it was time, I felt it was time as a mother to figure out what it would mean for my children to grow both American and Muslim. It felt more like a burden than a privilege, and I needed them to be both American and proud.
So you knew Suzanne, you knew her from the bus stop, the kids go to school together, you asked her to come in, and then Suzanne, you had heard of Priscilla, who was Jewish, and you thought, okay, now we've got the Muslim, the Christian, and the Jew. We're going to put together this book about how our religions all stem from Abraham.
That's right.
Now I'm looking at the book and it starts out really nice. You're in your home, right? You're having tea and chocolate. I get to chapter 4 and suddenly you're screaming about the crucifixion. And it's getting ugly. Suzanne and Priscilla are going crazy about it. What happened? Suddenly it's
We're here
about
to
a
tell the
kid's
tale.
book.
We're here to tell the tale today.
Well, definitely what I was writing was sounding different to Priscilla's ears than I intended that it would. And then it rang a lot of bells for her, I think, and I learned what things sound like.
I think I held a lot of stereotypes. I considered myself an open-minded person, but I met Suzanne. I have a lot of Christian friends. Some of my best friends are Christian. But I met Suzanne, and here was a woman who grew up in the Midwest, went to all Catholic schools, Texas Christian University, and she loved Jesus. And as a Jew, I had never talked to anyone about Jesus before. So some sort of radar went off.
Of course, the curious thing for me was here we were. I was thinking that it would be, the first conflict would be perhaps with the Muslim and the Christian, or with the Muslim and the Jewish mother, but it happened between the Judo-Christian tradition, and I kept feeling like the banished Ishmael. I kept thinking, why isn't it the Judo-Christian-Muslim tradition?
Well, they kept saying to you, Rania, this is not about you.
Exactly. But Rania was a
We did
peacemaker.
wild. She
Rania
was.
played the peacemaker. I was ready to quit the job. I had drafted a resignation letter, and I spoke to Rania, and she brought the Christian and the Jew together.
And then as the weeks progressed and you would meet on a very regular basis, other issues kept coming up. You started to query Priscilla about why do you defend the Israelis as a daughter of Palestinian refugees because your homeland had been taken. So very serious issues that probably you had never spoken to another Jew about, right?
Absolutely. You know, the wonderful thing is that the Faith Club, within the cocoon of the Faith Club and the safe environment of the Faith Club, we were able to push that envelope and push that button to places where you would never go, even with your best friends.
What did you learn about yourselves and each other through this process?
That we had so much more in common than what separated us, actually, that we all found God in the same places, that we have the same God that wants us to revere Him and to love each other and to treat our fellow man as we would like to be treated.
No, I was talking to Priscilla the other night about this. For full disclosure, Priscilla and I went to school together. We never talked about God growing up. Never.
And we went to a Quaker school.
And we went to
silent
Quaker school,
meetings.
exactly.
And
Well, when
everything
people
else.
do talk about God, they talk about God with people who believe the same things that they do.
But people
And
are
we
afraid
learned,
of these interfaith discussions. Most people run away from them.
Don't be afraid.
Well, yes, here we
Is that
are.
the
We've
message of the book?
survived.
Yes,
We've
there was some
survived.
tension, but out of that tension, we all changed so much and got so much out of the experience.
That's
you
where
have to
growth
move
comes
out
from.
of your comfort zone in order to acquire real knowledge. And for me, the Faith Club was a way to get confirmation, affirmation, to be that counter to that stereotype that you see of Islam, that dominant, aggressive, literal voice. And so if it weren't for the Faith Club and our dialogue and the often painful, sometimes confrontational situations, we wouldn't have reached where we are. And we found out that our humanity is so much more embracing and common, and what connects us is much more than what separates us. So.
But we all had to be willing to question, and it was through the questioning that we were able to move forward.
And I would love to question you more, but we're running out of time. But I do know that your goal is hopefully to create faith clubs all over this country, and you do have a website where people can go, obviously.
www.thefaithclub.com.
Sounds good to me. Rania, Suzanne, Priscilla, thank you so much for coming in. It is a marvelous, marvelous book. I have done so much thinking because of it.
Thank you so
And if
much.
you'd like to read an excerpt from the Faith Club, just go to our website at today.msnbc.com. And still ahead, the secrets to saving money at the big warehouse stores. But first, this is Today on NBC.